everybody, what's up? Jess here, LJM Farms. Welcome to the channel. Now, as you can probably see here behind me, I have a big brush pile going. The reason for that is my current project that I've been working on is I'm clearing out a lot of brush and trees along the creek and along the woods so that I can come in and put in a high tensile fence. Now I've got about 5,000 feet, actually a little over that, it's probably closer to a mile of high tensile single strand electric fence that I'm going to be putting in. And the main reason for that is so that I can do some rotational grazing this year. I've been kind of working towards this for a while, and as soon as I can get this fence in, that's going to give me, you know, a big leap forward in being able to put the cows where I need them and when I need them, and you know, regenerate the land, have healthy animals, and so forth. So it's probably going to be too long to fit all of this in one video, so probably going to be a couple of different videos, but yeah, stick around. I'll show you exactly how I built this fence. But first, I got a lot of brush and trees I need cleaned up so that I have a nice clean area to run my fence and hopefully minimize any shorting and damage to the fence and things like that. Now I'll be powering this fence with a Cyclops 20 joule energizer. I'm going to be running that all the way back to my shop, and I'll be putting in a lighting diverter, all the ground rods and all that. So if you're interested in any of this stuff, stick around. That may not be in this video, but probably the next video for sure. Now I'm kind of using a combination of things to clear out this brush and trees. I'm getting what I can with the tractor and the brush cutter and grapple. You know, I mean, brush cutters are so versatile. You can do a lot with them. And this one that I've been using is one heck of a brush cutter. I'll show you that. Yeah, so just getting what I can with the brush cutter and cleaning up with the grapple. And then what I can't get with that, I'm coming back and doing it by hand, either with the electric pole saw or the chainsaw. I have been cutting a lot of trees along the creek, but I'll explain more about that here in just a minute on why I'm cutting trees and not pulling them or taking them out completely. And you'll see why I'm doing that. But yeah, let's get to it, and I'll show you what I got going on. here is what I was just working on. It got dark on me, so I figured I'd just come back when I had better light and kind of show you guys the results. Right there is what you see me cleaning on for the most part. But I did hit all of this edge right here. And that's what I'm trying to do, just kind of knock some of this back so that I'll have a clean place to put the fence and hopefully minimize any possibilities of things hitting the fence and shorten it out, at least for a couple of years. Now, that don't last forever. Eventually I will have to come back and probably do some more cleanup. But doing this right here is a big step, and you know, hopefully it'll be easier to maintain having all this done. So this is where I had the brush cutter going, you know, backing into it. And you know, the brush cutter ain't a mulcher, but it does a pretty bang up job. I mean, you're 75–80% of the way there, you know, so you can definitely do a lot with a brush cutter. Now I'll show you more on that brush cutter here in just a minute. Like I said, I ran out of daylight, and I really wanted to show you some key features on there that I really like on that thing. But I knew there was an old fence back here, and I was trying to stay out of that, but unfortunately didn't quite make it. So not only is that brush cutter called a brush thrasher, it's also called a T-post thrasher. Took some big chunks out of it, and I've already looked at the cutter, and I'll show you on the blades. There's some just really tiny nicks on it. Didn't hurt that thing at all. But yeah, I got all this pushed back, and this is just what I'm doing. I'm going around the edge, just kind of pushing all of it back, because over the years, the previous owner just didn't really maintain it this good. It was leased out, and all this brush just kind of starts taking over. And it's part of it, just what it does. So I'm going to push all that back as much as I can. I'm not wanting to just come in and take out all the trees, but you know, I want to at least provide as clean a area for the fence as I can without getting too crazy. Well, all right, as you can see here, this is an area that I've been cleaning on here. Got a few stumps over there, and I'll show you what I'm doing to those. Now, if you've watched any of my channel at all, you know that I have a tree puller for the tractor, front end loader. I prefer to pull trees and be done with the roots and all when possible, and if that makes sense. In this instance, I don't want to do that because I don't know if you can tell, here's my bridge. This is a creek here. This creek does flood, and this is sand in here. So I'm wanting to leave a lot of these roots and things here as long as possible to help stabilize the sand if the creek does flood. Because one flooding event, it'll just wash all this out of here. I've seen it happen. So, you know, I want to keep the sand here until I can get some grass growing here and established, and then that will then stabilize, you know, the soil and the dirt for the most part. So yeah, these trees, just cutting these with a chainsaw, and I actually need to come back and clean this one up. I didn't have my herbicide whenever I was cutting a lot of this, so I need to come back and I'll probably trim off the tops and expose that layer of bark around the edge, a fresh layer, and then I'll get these painted. I have a mixture of diesel and brush tox. My local store didn't have crossbow, which I would have preferred because it has 2,4-D in it also, but the brush tox has remedy, and that's really going to get, you know, be the most effective anyhow. So I think I did 32 ounces of brush tox to, you know, like a 5-gallon bucket of diesel, red dye diesel. So I'll be painting a lot of the stumps whenever I cut them. I paint them, and that just keeps the sprouts from coming up. And eventually we'll allow these stumps to rot away, but it'll do it slowly. You know, it's not like pulling them out with the tree puller, and then you've got a big hole here and disturbed soil, and it's going to take a while for something to grow there. All right, here we are on the other side of the creek. That's where I was just standing. So here's the other pole, or other post, and I continued. I'm gonna come across the bridge and run my hot wire down this side of the creek. And I'm kicking myself for not taking pictures of this or videoing it as much as I wanted to. because the transformation of this side of the creek is crazy. I mean, this was just a wall of brush and briars, and what I've done with that brush thrasher and a grapple, it has made a crazy difference in how this looks. And so, I don't know if you can tell, I got a lot more stumps here that I cut. Again, I'm not wanting to pull these trees out by the creek because that sand will just wash away. Got a few more trees I think I'm going to go ahead and cut because the limbs are hanging out, and my fence will be under that. And just to minimize any future shorts on the fence, I'm going to go ahead and cut a few more of these trees and limbs. Alright, here's my stump painting setup. Just a 5-gallon bucket full of that mixture. Again, this is I'd rather use crossbow, but this is brush talc, which has triclopyr in it, and it will work just fine. This is a 32-ounce bottle of the brush talcs to about 4 to 5 gallons of diesel, somewhere around there. And then you can tell what that is. That's just a bar oil for the chainsaw, an old jug, and just got a little window in there, and just to be able to dip a paintbrush. And now what I don't use, I can use this lid here as a funnel and just pour it back into this 5-gallon bucket. So that works out really well. This ain't the best brush, but it works just fine. It's just what I had laying around. Now they have some daylight here. I wanted to show you the brush cutter real quick. This is the Quick Attach Brush Thrasher. I think this is slightly an older model. They have a newer model now that's got a few different design changes, but overall it's still the same. Now, First of all, I don't know if you noticed in the video, but I have a hydraulic top link, and that really makes a difference in tilting this thing back and being able to back into all that brush and briars and vines, and then you lower it down onto those, and really allows you to get above them instead of just pushing them and cutting them and just pushing them back. So definitely recommend that for your brush cutter. These hydraulic top links aren't just for box blades. And then overall, this thing is just heavy duty. One cool feature I like is the tail wheel. It has the ability to, flip it up and get it out of the way, or it's got holes in that back bracket right there, and allows you to adjust the height just like a normal brush cutter. And now the best thing about this cutter, in my opinion, is the open back. And I know you've all seen them, and I have too, and you've all had it happen to you. You get a brand new brush cutter or one that's in really good shape, and you go to backing in the material, these saplings and decent sized trees, and what you end up doing is bending the back of that brush cutter and denting it all up and things like that. Well, that's why I went with this one, because that's not going to happen. You can see it has open back and even has a place for those trees and stuff to go, so the blades will just be right here and they'll cut them off. So really like that feature. Now, it's not going to mulch up grass as well as a regular brush cutter with a back on it, but most of the time what I'm using this for is going to be saplings and brush and things like that, so perfect for that. This is a 1/2 inch thick plate here, and that's sandwiched or laminated to a 1/4 inch, so you basically have 3/4 inches of material here on this back. And I've pushed on 5-6 inch trees with this and chopped them over, and it didn't hurt it one bit. There's no dents in it, or it's not bent up at all, nothing like that. So definitely heavy duty. Huge stump jumper on it. And the other feature I really like is this ring all the way around the top. The other thing you'll see on less expensive brush cutters that have been used for a while and used for things they probably shouldn't have been used for, is they'll have if you look on the top deck, they'll have a ring around the top deck where those blades have hit a stump or rocks or something like that, and it's pushed those blades up into the top deck, and basically it's scored a dent all the way around that top deck. Well, with this feature on here, that's not going to happen. And this is at least a 3/8 inch steel on that top there, and so basically, that the only job of that is to keep those blades off of that deck. And now I mentioned about hitting that T-post, and so there's one little nick, a couple little nicks there, but overall still usable. I may come back and try to hit those with my flapper wheel, sharpen them up a little. So yeah, I think that's about it on the brush cutter. Even these guides are really thick, 1/2 inch, so very heavy made. If you're in the market for something like this, doing a lot of clearing, trees and brush, definitely give these guys a look. Highly recommend it. Well, alright, I think I'll probably go ahead and call this video here, just because I have a lot more to do on the actual fence side. Now I pretty much have, well, first of all, this creek pretty much runs through the middle of the property, and I'm having to clean out both sides of the creek because I will be fencing both sides of the creek. It has pretty steep banks for the most part. There are a few areas that are sloped enough that the cows get down in there and get water. This is the primary water source on the property, and they also cross in those areas. So my plan is I'm basically going to be fencing out the creek on both sides, but I will put access gates for the cattle to go through where those crossings are, and that's how I'm going to fence them in or out of different sides of the property. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be as far as the brush clearing portion. Probably the next video is pretty much all going to be fencing. Like I said, I'll be doing a lot more rotational grazing type stuff hopefully in the future once I get this fence built. If you enjoy this type of content, be sure to hit that like button for me. Consider subscribing if you hadn't. As always, y'all have a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.